Hi, welcome to the Morning Ramble. I'm Matt.
And I'm Eric. So for our first show, we're pretty much going to take just a couple photos, not videos, that we found online that we want to talk about. Some are stupid, some are a little serious, and just discuss them a little bit. Just so you know, pretty much everything we're talking about is all opinion. We don't do that much research into some of these, and for the first show, we don't really have that many serious topics that we're talking about. But if you have any input, feel free to comment below. If you get through the whole video, you might see a meme that you might have even shared that we saw that we're going to show up on the video. So let's get to the first one.
Okay, the first one we're talking about today is a nice little meme that is about the Netflix test for videos. It's Netflix will now interrupt series binges with video ads for its other series. Netflix confirms test videos appear, but first check out blank blank prompt, and then it's got a sweet Obi-Wan meme on it that says you've become the very thing you swore to destroy.
See, I don't think that it's that big a deal because Amazon has been doing this already. I don't know. Well, you have my Prime, but you have my Prime. But
just sell me out, why don't you?
Right? But it's like Netflix has been doing this for a while, and I haven't. I mean, sometimes it bugs me when they put like the kids show, but they probably do that because they know that my daughter watches like Umizoomi and all that other stuff, so they show relative things. But like when I watch they show like Amazon Prime shows like their original movies, and I've actually gotten into some shows that they previewed for me, so it kind of worked on their end. You know, I was watching, what was I watching? Hand of God, I think. And they showed a preview for Goliath, which I know isn't a very popular show, but then I started watching it with, gosh, that's going to bother me. Who stars in that show, Goliath? Hold on.
I don't know.
Well, that's why we got phones.
We have the technology.
But anyway, I started watching Goliath, and I think I just finished up season 2 that was released earlier this summer.
So you had an
Billy Bob Thornton. That's such an easy name to remember, and I completely forgot Billy Bob Thornton. But anyway, Billy Bob Thornton stars in it. It's a pretty good show. But anyway, it was an ad for it, and I started watching it. But Netflix, if they start interrupting shows, I think that would be a little annoying. Like, I'm watching...
Well, from what I'm understanding from that, it's going to be like if you're doing an episode, the episode ends, and then it comes on, then this preview comes on, and then you continue watching your show. And that probably wouldn't be too big of a deal. My question with that is, with Netflix, now Amazon Prime has a way different interface than Netflix does.
Yeah.
Netflix basically assaults you with its originals when you log into the Netflix.
Well, yeah, that's honestly the ad that what you just said. As long as they kept it to like a minimum, like 15, 30-second ad. But if they started putting like a minute or two, that would bug me in between episodes because I, like most people, like to binge shows. So that would bother me. But what I hate about Netflix is like I'll be on my Fire Stick and I'll be going down and I'll accidentally like I can't leave my television while I'm going through and scrolling because it will just start playing whatever I highlighted, and I hate that feature because like I don't want to watch that. Like, you know, I have to like get out of the app just to walk away from my television. So to me that bothers me more than this ad thing. And I like a lot of Netflix's originals, so it's not.
I mean, there's certainly not. Well, some of them are bad, but actually, the thing that bothers me about Netflix more than this proposed thing is when you finish up a series or something like that, and then your preview, which are 3 to 5 minutes sometimes on these Netflix shows, will just come on and it'll just play, and that's annoying.
I don't know. I mean, I did just defend it, but at the same time, I don't know why Netflix does it, because it's like, you already have the audience. You know, like, you already have us paying for it.
I'm already paying the money.
Well, maybe they should lower it back down, because I know right now, I think the cheapest package is like $11-12. So maybe they should lower it back down to maybe that's $7.99 or $9.99, and then maybe for those bigger packages, you get less ads, or you have none, which I'm pretty sure Hulu does stuff like that already. So they're kind of falling in line with Hulu.
Well, you know, what I'm thinking here is this just a gate where Netflix is like, hey, do you not want these things? Pay a couple dollars more a month and you get rid of them. Yeah. If that's the case, just raise the rate. I don't care. I'll pay it.
I don't think they're going to lose any customers over it. It doesn't matter. It's Netflix.
Most likely
Everyone
not.
has it. And if they don't have it, they have someone else's.
All right. Okay, well, let's move on to the next one.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. This is one that was moving around today. Today, this weekend, I saw it, and it's kind of serious, but it's this one here. It's a picture of school lunches. It says, "No money, no lunch." And it says, "This is how the United States treats its youth. We spend trillions on wars, but no lunch for kids with no money." Disgusting. So,
First thing we need to point out with this one
yeah.
is the great grammar. Disgusting has no period.
Well, I think it's because it's saying disgusting, and then it's going into its name in the high school, which I don't.
It still should have a period.
So fine. Still has a period or a comma.
And also, treats is supposed to have an S at the end.
The reason why
I'm sorry,
Fine.
I'm just a stickler.
Well, the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I know this is a serious topic here, but the reason why is because it's mostly about the perception. Like, most people see this and they're like, that's gross. You know what I mean? Like, kids have no money, they're not going to feed, they're not going to eat. That's ridiculous, and yet we spend money on wars. But I really don't understand why we're drawing the line to wars and school lunches. There's no line there other than the fact that there's a government. You know what I mean? So you're like,
right.
As the main entity, but a lot of school lunch programs are run, I might be wrong here, but by the state.
And that is basically
it's a lot of
how it goes.
State welfare or something like that. But my main reason why I wanted to point this one out was because I look at that, and you know what I see? I see, like, who is sending their kids to school and not being able to provide them food? Now, I get it. I went to high school. There was a lot of kids I knew that were getting free lunches, and that's fine. That's great. If that's a social program that's in your area, great. That's how it should be. But if that's not an option there, and you're sending your kids knowingly that they're not going to eat, that's poor parenting, and you need to be a responsible parent. You need to be able to provide food for your kid. And to me, when I see that, it's not like it's my head doesn't go straight to society or the government and say, why are they giving more money for a bomb? You know what I mean? It goes more to, what kind of parent isn't providing for their kids?
Right.
And that's what bothers me more than this. Because this isn't, the high school they pointed out, this isn't the only high school that's happened. This has happened in probably hundreds of high schools, I bet. Right. And they're not hitting the news, and they happened years ago when I was in high school, I know right. A lot of kids that just didn't eat, or they got food from someone else, or stole, you know what I mean, or bar, or, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, with these things, like, if it's known to the parent, now there are some, I'm sure there are cases where the kids just don't tell their parents that
that's true too.
They can't do it.
Maybe
they had free lunch at some point,
yeah.
And then it got taken away when their parents got raised, because it is based off of income, and you do have to fill out a form, to get free lunch or reduced cost lunch. So it's like their parent got a raise and they're still living kind of paycheck to paycheck. This does happen with broken families, single parent families, obviously, and stuff like that. But ultimately, to make a sandwich to bring to school is very, very cheap.
Cents. We're talking cents here. I mean, you
Yeah.
get a loaf of bread for 99 cents, and then
like some lunch meat or just a PB&J,
put some peanut
or something.
butter in it. I mean,
So I do agree with you on that. Like, a lot of this is definitely in the parents.
that's my main thing. Is like there needs to be more personal responsibility. And again, there's circumstances where maybe a kid had it and they lost it, and they see their parents struggling. They don't want to let them know. Maybe it's an older kid. Maybe it's a younger kid, and he just doesn't understand. I don't know what the circumstances are.
Yeah.
But like, when I see that, it's like, hey, the school probably they only have so much money. I mean, it's not like do you really think that there's like board members and like people in the school that are just like, we don't want to feed kids? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah, there's nobody maliciously rubbing their hands together in the back saying, yes, hungry children.
I will say that it's not like there's not a need for reform, because like, I mean, how many times do we see schools get grants for like a new sports thing, a new field, a new court, new jerseys? I don't know. There needs to be more grants and more things in place for academics and necessities like food. But again, to me, it ultimately relies on the parents. The parents need to provide, and then this wouldn't be an issue. I mean, don't have that many kids that you can't provide food. I mean, it's simple. choices. I think that's all I have to say about this. So.
Yeah, and just for the devil's advocate, yeah, like I mentioned, there are broken families. There are situations where things will happen, where people will be in trouble. But there are programs to help with that if you're willing to try them out.
Yeah,
I know this firsthand. That's where I'm getting the information.
Yeah, and and I've never been in that kind of system, so it's hard for me to say in like that experience. But again, the point why I wanted to point this out was because to me it's like the reaction that I see online, and people's reaction is just like, oh, hate the school, hate the government. Right. I'm just like, why aren't we talking about these parents that are? Why is there so many kids going to school without food? Why can't they do this? You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm not known to financial difficulties. I get it. It's hard, but you got to make it work. So,
all right. Let's move on to the next one.
Let's move on to something else. So this is something that I saw this a week or two ago, I think, and at first I didn't question it, but then I took a closer look, and I'm going to show two images up here of this, and this is a picture. I'll show this one first. This is a picture of the Seattle Seahawks and what looks like to be a man with his shirt off holding a burning flag.
Now, he looks pretty stoked about it, too.
He's pretty pumped. And if you look at the first thing I noticed, look at the face of this coach. He's like, yeah! like the coach is like, yeah! But I looked at that, and I was like, what? I'm like, what? This is not real. And honestly, it's poor Photoshop. Now, I'm not saying I'm a master of Photoshop. I'm not a master of Photoshop. But I can definitely tell when something's not Photoshopped correctly. And the first thought, again, perception. First thought I had of it was like, who's starting a fire in a building? That's a huge danger to everyone.
That's like a big gymnasium type room. There's probably sprinklers in there.
But before we get to talking about it, I just want to show you this. Like, boom, there's the original. Now, it's some kind of chant after a victory. Who knows when this picture was taken? I have no idea. Richard Sherman over here, the cornerback, he's just like, you know what I mean? Like it's so outrageous. But the point was like people thought this was real.
Yeah.
And I get it. You know, things are deceiving. It does look kind of real, but like to us, what was the thing that you pointed out when I showed this to you?
Oh, his hands look messed
But about
up.
the fire, what was it?
Well, that there would be a sprinkler system in that room.
Yeah, why isn't it raining?
And it's like those things react really quickly, and flags are generally made out of like nylon and polyester. That makes a lot of smoke when they burn.
We're talking about the material of the flag.
I'm sorry, but these are the things that pop into my head.
I don't want to go too far into it because it's like I can go off because the reason why this was made, whoever made this, is they hate the NFL right now because of the whole players kneeling. And do you really want to get into the whole football player kneeling thing? It's gonna.
Well, it's gone now.
Yeah,
they can't do that now.
Well, they can't, but it's still happening in preseason. It's all over the news and Twitter every week. It's like someone's kneeling.
Well, the rule is they have to stay in the locker room now. Right?
And I've talked to us before, and I've talked to other people about this before. I'm just going to point out my simple opinion on this is that a company can do what it wants within its company. If it wants its work employees to stand for the American, for the Pledge of Allegiance, they have to do it. Pledge of Allegiance. That's school. That's school.
The national anthem.
The national anthem. See, patriotic.
Anyway,
no. If they want to stand for the national anthem, they have. Then they have to because here's the thing: they are.
And we're back.
All right. First time we're getting some stuff straightened out.
Yeah.
All right. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah.
We're gonna need to keep a timer here.
Yeah, we will. Well, I'm glad it beeps. So the national anthem, if they have, then they have to stand because they're performers. Just like an actor has to do his job, they are performers, and it's on national television. That's what they have to do. It's not really about free speech to me. Now, if they want to come back on their own time, not on the clock, and they want to march around a stadium and and protest, that's fine.
And so many of these athletes have like a huge platform.
Yes.
Especially with social media.
They should. If they feel like this is something that they want to protest, they should. This is America. This is what you should be doing. But if your boss requires you to do something, you need to do it. Otherwise, you're fired. I don't know.
And the fact that they are actually giving them the option to go into a locker room and wait out.
Are they? I didn't read that.
I do believe that's what it is.
That's fine. It's just like, hey, going back to the Pledge of Allegiance. Remember, if you want to stand outside in the hallway, you can do it, right? Isn't that? I remember in high school, didn't they do that for some people?
Because
if they wanted to stand it, because they didn't want them sitting. But if
I was 100% one of those assholes.
Were you?
Like I was like, and it wasn't an anti-patriotism thing. I just didn't want to stand.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, I was waking up at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know, and I understand people's point of views, because on one side you're saying like, oh, you're sitting at home eating nachos. Are you standing for the national anthem? No, I'm not. No. I'm sitting. I'm
sitting. I'm making fun of whoever's singing it.
I'm making fun of who's singing it. There's been some pretty bad ones. What was the Thanksgiving dinner one year?
God rest her soul. She just died.
Oh no, it's not her, is it?
Yeah,
is that her?
It was.
All right, I'm not going to talk about it then.
No, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't talk about it.
God rest her soul.
It wasn't great. It was. She was also fairly old. So
yeah.
I mean, but anyway, but that goes to show you, like we were sitting there watching it, eating turkey. You know what I mean? Like no one was standing. And if we were standing, it'd be weird. It'd be weird if all of us were standing during it. But that doesn't. But here's the thing, though. We're not there. You know what I mean? Again, it's a performance.
Yeah, and there's also this huge tradition of standing up and doing that in sports, not just football.
No, it's all sports.
Just in sports.
And a lot of them have no tolerance. A lot of them have no tolerance. But anyway, outside of your job, you have a platform, you have people that look up to you, you have kids that look up to you, and if you feel like this is something you need to take a stance on, then do it. But if your job requires you to do something, you need to do it, and the end of that. And it doesn't matter what any politician says or doesn't say. It's just, that's it.
This is really living up to its name right now because
Ramble. We are we're not even. This wasn't even about kneeling. Anyway, back to this
Photoshop is an incredibly powerful.
Don't
tool.
believe. And hold on, real quick before we leave this photo, because I know we've been rambling about it a long time. The main thing I actually wanted to say about this was I don't like when people just post things, kind of like we're just talking about things and not going a little bit further into it. You know what I mean? Like, look, this photo was shared, I think, I don't know how many times on Facebook. It literally took me 3 seconds to type in Google, Seahawks, and I put F, and it said flag burning in Google. It auto-filled the rest of it. As soon as I clicked on it, there was the combination photo of the original and the photoshopped one. It literally took less than 10 seconds to figure out that this was a fake, even if I didn't have the knowledge to know that Photoshop was poor. And
researching topics even in a very small form, which is all the basic person would have to do.
Yeah, and
to be 1,000% more informed.
Yes, and I don't believe that like, oh, I'm just an individual, I don't have an audience, so who cares? I'll just share this because it's what I agree with. No, because there was people when they shared it, they're just like, oh, this is horrible. Like, just I don't believe in suppressing news outlets or Facebook pages or anything. Let them talk. If they're all wrong, then people are going to stop listening to them. Just do a little bit of research, look at the far left, the far right, in the middle, and you'll find the answer. It's very simple stuff, especially with photos. Online, like I said, if it's popular enough to be shared on Facebook, Google will automatically fill it for you what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was 2 topics in one. But
no, it sure was. That was a great deep dive, though.
No,
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll move on from that. Maybe we'll find some more Photoshop photos for next week.
All right, guys. All right. Now it's for the most important topic of the day.
Do not have a horse in this race. He found this, and I'm going to have him walk me through it because I don't understand why he was so mad about it.
All right. This is another one of those things where people will just share the thing without doing any research at all. So a friend of mine shared this image on Facebook and said, did you know, tilapia, fish is a boneless. I'm guessing that meant to say it's a boneless fish.
But does it really have bones?
Has no skin and can't be overcooked. It can't be. It's impossible.
Is this guy ever gone fishing?
You throw this thing in the sun, it'll be unscathed.
So what's it made out of? Gelatin?
I
don't know.
You can't find tilapia in the wild. It's being harvested in artificial fish farms. That's half true.
That's probably true.
A lot
of fish are.
Yeah, a lot of fish are like
because there are a lot of help me out here. A lot of kinds of fish aren't even existent in the ocean anymore because a lot of them have been fished out.
A lot of them do still exist in the wild, but in a vastly lower number to the point where it doesn't make any sense to do it. And if you can do fish farms, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why not? It's easier.
The algae in lake plant or replaced by GMO soy and corn. That's completely. It makes no sense. Eating tilapia is worse than eating bacon or a hamburger.
Well, nothing's better than eating bacon in a hamburger.
That's true. I just ate bacon on a hamburger like an hour ago. Dioxin is found in this fish. Cancers are caused by this toxin dioxin, which can take up to 11 years to clear out of your body, which consumes. So I'm going to go into every one of these points here. So fish is a boneless. First off, I have myself filleted one of these fish.
Fish is a boneless.
It has bones.
You need to get rid of the A. Fish is boneless.
Even
it would be the fish is boneless.
Exactly.
Okay. Make sure we get our
even on the stock photo that they used for tilapia, the fucking thing has skin. You can bleep that.
I'm not gonna bleep anything. Why would?
I don't know.
It's scaled.
But
it's why.
But here's the thing. People are sharing this seriously, and they're like, "Oh, this is disgusting."
Because that was my main concern when you brought this to me. Was like, is this satire? Because there's a lot of memes out there that are purposefully.
I did some research on this, and yes, there are people sharing this
who are just
seriously.
Like, look at this fish.
I believe it was somebody from another country who didn't have a particularly strong grasp on English. It can't be overcooked. Like I said, it can be overcooked.
Everything can be
overcooked.
except Jello.
You can't find tilapia in the wild is being harvested in artificial fish farms. Yes, there are fish farms for tilapia. There are also fish farms for bass, everything else like that. You can find tilapia in the wild. There's almost 100 species of tilapia.
Makes sense.
That next sentence, I can't decipher.
What you can't find
the algae in lake plant or replaced by GMO soy and corn.
They're probably pointing out. They're saying something that maybe something's replaced by a GMO, which is like the biggest fear in like the agricultural. Is like, oh, GMOs, genetically modified. It's so bad. Like there's no. As far as I know, there's no scientific research that says GMOs are worse off for you.
This is true.
There's not.
We can do a deep dive on GMO one of
another
these days
week. I would like to because there's a lot.
There's a lot to say about.
Well, no, and there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to say. There's a lot of documentaries out there talking about GMOs in soy, beans, in corn. You know what I mean? And just in everything really. And like animals are fed GMO based feed. So we'll talk about that later. But I think that's what that horribly placed sentence is trying to say is that, oh look, something is replaced by GMOs.
Yeah, and it might be that they're trying to say that's what they're feeding the fish or something like that.
Which who cares? It's again.
I don't care.
If someone can point out a study for me that says how GMOs are worse, that's backed, then I'd be interested to read it. But as far as I know from what I've seen, it's not. Go ahead.
Eating tilapia is worse than eating bacon or a hamburger. Now this
is a weird point to make.
This is actually there's some science here.
Okay.
And I've done some research on it.
Bacon science.
Yes.
It's a new segment. Go ahead.
Tilapia is not as good for you as other fish. It's not. It has way less omega-3 fatty acids, which is one of the main things you get out of fish.
Okay.
Those are good for you. But tilapia is also cheap as hell.
Okay. Well, that would be...
So that's the reason why you get it. Now, if you go and sear a tilapia on the grill and eat it, is that worse for you than a burger? No.
Okay.
But if you go and deep fry the tilapia and eat it, is it worse than you?
Everything's worse deep fried.
It really depends on how you make it.
All right. Well,
and
I'm not a big fish person.
I'm not either. I'm defending tilapia. I don't even like tilapia. This is just a thing where I'm just like, this is just a bunch of false information that is being shared by people, and I want to point that out.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that this last point. Dioxin is found in this fish. Dioxin is not just one thing. Dioxin is a bunch of compounds that are called dioxin-like compounds, which are toxic. I found almost nothing in my research about there being dioxin-like compounds in tilapia in any crazy amount that would cause problems.
Hold on. All right.
But I
Just checking the camera.
it's a good point.
Yeah. No, that's and
that's
we're
the
defending
kind of,
something we don't even like to eat.
yeah.
But no, you're right. Poor research, poor sentence structure. It's probably someone who doesn't even. speak
And they use
English very
stock photos. And that's just a crime in itself. We're using photos of stock photos.
Yes.
So we're way better.
Way lazier. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, someone who says, "Oh, it's worse than eating bacon or fish," sounds like a vegan. But we could talk about that another time.
Oh
too.
yeah, we'll talk. Definitely
maybe
we'll
maybe we'll make
on
it.
that.
I don't know if we can do a GMO and a vegan video in one because I have a lot to say about both. So
I mean, we could definitely do deep dives on both. And if it's too long, we'll just cut it.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that fish meme to my attention.
All right, this thing's been eating at me for a day now.
He was very angry about it. But yeah, Hey, since we were talking about bacon, I know we didn't plan this, but let's just go into it. One of my friends had this photo up. Hold on. Speaking of bacon, right? And it says let's vote. How do you like your bacon? And it has 1 through 6. How do you like your bacon?
That's got to be a solid. That's a 6.
Well, see,
Solid 6.
everyone's saying like 3 or 4 through 6. I'm just like 0 to 1. Like
You like your bacon flaccid?
I like my bacon like just seared on both sides, you know. And
Really?
I'll eat, you know, overdone bacon or burnt bacon. That's fine, but I really like my bacon chewy. I don't know why. It's weird. Unless it's on a burger.
Used to.
Like if I go to Wendy's and I get a Baconator and they don't have my burger, if they don't have my bacon done properly, then I'm gonna get annoyed because I don't want chewy bacon on my burger. But
Yeah, it's kind
but
of.
with my eggs and stuff, yeah, I would. I don't like my bacon done too much.
You know, I can kind of feel you on that. I get it.
Yeah, I like it like steak.
I get it. I was definitely thinking about it as a topping because basically all I've ever done with bacon, well, as an adult, was use it as a topping. I haven't used it as a side.
I don't even cook bacon that much because it takes too much time and effort.
Oh, I always bake it. Always bake it. It's
Bake
way
it?
easier.
Well, I used to work at Wendy's and we baked our bacon, so.
Now we got to cut that part out because you said Wendy's.
Oh, wait? Why?
Now they're gonna think we're sponsored.
Sponsored by Wendy's.
All right. Well, I guess
I think that's it for
we'll
that
finish
one.
up on this episode of the Morning Ramble. I have been Matt.
And I am always Eric. We'll see you next week.